Welcome to the ThunderCast, your Marshall Athletics podcast produced by the fans, for the fans. We're bringing you the thundering word on the thundering herd each and every week. So keep it right here. The ThunderCast is on the loose.
Thank you for downloading another episode of the ThunderCast, and it's Russ and Jed back with you again for our midweek update. We got all kinds of news and a little special guest that we're going to have on here in a minute that's going to hit those last couple of things that we are going to talk about in 5 things. Jed, before I get started with it all, how are you this week?
Yeah, doing all right, man. Are you saying you've got my replacement in the wings? I mean,
I do.
You keep talking week after week.
Yeah.
Week after week about, my mispronouncing it. See, there it is. I can't even pronounce that of names and things like that. So you got him in the wings getting ready to replace me, huh?
Yeah, I do. Well, it's a very busy guest, so I don't know how often he'd be able to do a weekly, sometimes twice and 3 times a week podcast, but it is a good guest. But before we get into all that, I've got to get a word from our sponsors at Leasure Oliver PLLC.
If you've been hurt in a wreck, call the law firm of Leasure Oliver PLLC. Find them at 304carwreck.com.
All right, Jeb, we have a pretty busy slate on this midsummer, weekly schedule. You think that it would be hard to find 5 different news items during the week, but we prove each and every week we can come up with at least 5. And this week I've got 8. And the first 6 we're going to kind of go through kind of quickly so we can spend more time with these final 2 and the guests that we have here. So I'm going to kick it off real quick. Number 1, we've been doing this every week the last 5 weeks. The game theme for the 5th football home game has been announced, and to the surprise of no one, the November 14th game is indeed the We Play for the 75 game. It'll be presented by the West Virginia Lottery. Fans will be encouraged to wear black. That's something that we have been doing for that game for at least the last 6-7 years. It is also a high school band day that's going to bring a lot of different high school students in there and from the band, their parents and everything. So that should help with people getting to be in that special game. And it's also Green and White Day. And that is going to be where parents and prospective Marshall students will be going around campus, and then they will also go to the game during that week, during that day. So that will help as well. Thoughts on this game theme that we kind of knew was going to be that way when the schedule popped?
Yeah, what a great opportunity for that Green and White Day to experience. One of the core things about being at Marshall is experiencing that day that we get to remember, and look back and reflect and honor those teammates, man. So it's always a great game. It's always something. It's always a special day. The game always seems to have a special aura about it as well. The players end up playing some of their best and just a great opportunity and a great time. So of course that's the theme, and it's just, I don't know. That's all I can say, man. It's great. Yeah. Love it. And glad they're putting some thought behind it with pairing it with some other things. So great for those families to be able to experience that. So
the game is against App State, and our guest will not call them that. They will say Appy at all times, and they may even utter the phrase, "Don't worry, beat Appy." And that may tell you a little bit more about the era that our guest is from. Number 2, Dominique Hall has been added as an assistant coach for the track and field programs. Will be coaching jumps, hurdles, sprints, and also helping with combined events. Just real quick, got to meet Mr. Hall at the press conference for Phoebe Campbell, the swim and dive coach. He was there, and Coach Keith Roberts introduced me to Dominique, and man, they had a really good year in jumps, and now they will have Dominique Hall here helping to take them to the next level.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Especially, I'm glad you alluded to that. Like we were already performing very well in those events. So having that extra help to do even better, I'm really excited for next year. We've talked about this in Around the Herd and a lot in the Five Things, is watching this program take that trajectory up, and so
Yeah.
really excited to see them take that next step.
Number 3, we're keeping it with track and field. They also picked up 3 new athletes this week. You're probably not going to have a lot to add to this because as we talk, there is not a lot out here on what their main focus is with track and field. And even if they did it in high school, it might not be what they focus on at the college level. But here we go. We got Candace Morris from Capitol High School right down the road in Charleston. Alonzo Newbern from Elkhart High School in Indiana, and then further away, Janae Jones from Miami Northwestern High School in Florida.
Yep, very cool. No, nothing to really add other than welcome to the herd.
Number 4, swim and dive adds Nicole McConnell as associate head coach. She spent the past 4 seasons as an assistant at Penn State, highly decorated program. Before that, she was in the SEC. You can read all about her on her bio over on Herd Zone with the announcement of this hire. But it seems like Phoebe Campbell's staff is going to have someone with a lot of good, strong background in developing swimmers, divers at the Olympic level, at the NCAA level, and all that.
Yeah, good pickups from new head coach to now building up now this assistant staff. Getting some good names from some big programs is very good, especially when we're kind of not in a rebuild, but kind of in a rebuild of a program here. So very excited to see how this all unfolds, and glad we're picking up some good assistant coaches as well.
Number 5, you'll have a lot to say about this, but John Elmore and Rachel Folden, it was just announced today, will be inducted into Conference USA's Hall of Fame.
Yeah, not surprised.
Both of
Yeah.
them are all timers at their respective sports. John Elmore, you can find him on ESPN Plus and sometimes ESPN playing right now. He's with the Lakers in their summer league, and he just went viral the other day because someone mistakenly was ragging on him as a 40-year-old bald man, and I said I'd love to see the ankles of that guy if he tried to guard John Elmore as a 30-year-old. But Johnny Buckets can still fill him up. Rachel Holden is still one of the only, and maybe the only, hitting coaches that is female in the major league organization. She's in the minors for the Chicago Cubs as a hitting coach. And man, some of her feats and records and things that she had here at Marshall for softball is just unheard of. And in Conference USA, both of these were just dominant in that era. So no surprise to me.
Yeah.
All right. Finally, before we get to our last 2, we're going to have a guest. Number 6 is some basketball scheduling news. The men will be hosting Buffalo to open the season as part of that MAC Sunbelt Conference challenge. And that will be on November the 2nd. As part of that same challenge on that same day, the women will be at UMass. And then also for some road games that were announced for women's basketball, they will be at Duke on November the 15th and at Kentucky on November the 20th. So very good. Same as we just talked about 2 weeks ago, I think it was. Maybe it was last week about the men with them going to UNC and them going to Ohio State. Now we have some good road trips. Very drivable for both of these, especially though UK, and we've got a lot of Central Kentucky alumni that could go to that game. But this is just going to help with that competition the same way we talked about with the men.
Right. Yeah. So to the first point with the MAC SBC challenge, I'm really liking that. I like that partnership that they've done over the last few seasons. Making sure that you get some Sunbelt teams playing some MAC schools. Then as the season goes on, pairing up the higher level teams to try to help with their strength of schedule and things like that. Really like that. Like to see that both leagues are really trying to elevate in terms of basketball. Sunbelt, I think, has a little bit of work to do, but I'm really glad that they're taking it seriously and wanting to elevate basketball. And then to those games, man, I love those games against like the Ohio States and the North Carolinas, like playing those blue blood schools or close to blue blood schools and those power programs. I mean, we want our shots, right? We want to elevate the programs. We want to play competitively, obviously, in our conference. We want to win our conference and make those returns to the NCAA tournament. But if we're going to do that, we're going to have to be able to compete. And why not take the shot, right? You never know what can happen, especially as we increase our talent and build our programs. We can be competitive. Who was it? The women we brought in that year? Was it Florida? They
Florida.
came played
and
here,
we beat
them.
We beat Florida, and that started that ridiculous run that year. But yeah, Jed, we're getting ready to head into our final two, and I can't believe you didn't flog me, but we did
I was letting it ride. I was letting it ride.
We didn't play the video for this is 5 things, and it's presented by ignite.link, and I just did not play it. So let's play that short little thing real quick, and then we'll get our guest on here.
And now, here are at least 5 things every Herd fan needs to know this week. As always, brought to you by ignite.link, the Tri-State's premier IT management team.
All right. We've been hyping it up the whole episode, and our final 2 things have something in common, and we decided why not get that something in common on the show. So without further ado, here is attorney Stephen P. New, massive Marshall fan, and I have to say, from the great suburbs around Gilbert, West Virginia, where I'm from. I'm from the suburbs too. I just happened to move into town later in life. But here, without further ado, Steve New.
What's up, guys? How are you?
Steve, we are doing great. Thank you for coming on the show. How are you doing, sir?
Doing very well. It's my honor to be with you all today.
Awesome. Well, I think that the honor is also going to go to our viewers and listeners, because you're going to drop a little bit of knowledge on us here, and we're going to try to help some student athletes get what they rightfully deserve. And I'm going to give that to you in a second. But first, number 7 in our 5 things ever heard and needs to know this week is, although the new lights at the Joan were announced months ago, it was never said how they were funded until this past week. And Steve New and his wife Amy have donated $1 million for this light project. And this is something that we have drastically needed. But Steve, not only do we want to thank you, we want to talk to you about this. So what is it you would like to tell Jed and I, and then anyone watching and listening, about this project?
All right. Thanks so much, Russ. Obviously, Marshall University means a great deal to me and Amy. I graduated from Marshall in 94. Amy graduated from Marshall in 95. Both of our mothers went back to school when we were teenagers and became teachers. They went back to school at Marshall as non-traditional students. And as I said to someone recently, my first trip to Marshall was in the fall of '79, and we took my Aunt Belinda there. And I remember looking around, going to the fountain, walking around campus, thinking, coming from Gilbert Creek, I thought, this is the prettiest place I've ever been.
Yeah.
And, 11, 12 years later, I'm there as a student. I was on the debate team at Marshall. I got my commission from the United States Army from Marshall ROTC. I got my degree. I was pre-law, political science. And so Marshall just means so much to us and our families and our loved ones. We just felt like when you can give back, you should. And so hopefully this isn't the only time that we can, but it just means so much. And I encourage anyone else. It doesn't have to be what that person or that family thinks is a substantial gift, because at a school like Marshall, every donation, every ounce of support that you can give counts so much. It's the difference between making it and not making it for our school. Things are hard right now. Things are hard in West Virginia for higher education. Things are hard in our region. Things are hard in our nation. And so we just have to lift each other up. And that's all that we were trying to do here. And absolutely, we encourage anybody else who can support the university, its mission, athletics, academics, to do so in whatever way that you can. About the lights specifically, I serve on the athletic directors champions advisory board, and I have since the inception of that with Christian Spears, and I continue to serve in that role, and Amy serves on the Big Green. This project has been needed for some time. It is not just a maintenance issue. It is a maintenance issue, but it's not just a maintenance issue. And what a lot of your viewers may not understand, Russ, is that nighttime games generate a lot more money. People work 6 days a week now. Sometimes they have to work on a Saturday afternoon or Saturday morning. And so according to, the statistics and the studies that I've seen and have been shared with me, Marshall was losing upwards of 30% of game day revenue because we weren't having a 6 o'clock or 7 p.m. kick. Plus, it's just a wonderful atmosphere.
Yeah.
I mean, lots of other college environments, are different with the nighttime game. I went to Alabama last year to watch Alabama play Tennessee, and it was a nighttime game. And in the entire game day experience, being able to tailgate all day long in Tuscaloosa, just fantastic. And lots of other schools, that nighttime environment, and I loved it. First game at the Joan, September of '91 against New Hampshire, right? That was a nighttime game. Interesting piece of trivia for your viewers. That game is the only day that Marshall football has ever had more in attendance than West Virginia University.
Wow.
Marshall versus New Hampshire outdrew WVU versus Bowling Green in September of '91. First game in the Joan. Oh, wow. So, lighting has changed around the world. There are LEDs, and you look at some place like Tennessee at Neyland Stadium, and it looks like a doggone rock concert, when Duvall score. So Marshall is in bad need of state-of-the-art lighting, facilities, everything like that. And so to be a part of something like that is really special to me, but it matters to the dollars and cents and to the fans as well. If we can increase those revenues on those nighttime games by 30%, that means a lot to an athletic department.
Sure. Yeah, I'll let Jed hop in here in a second, but I just want to say that with LED lights, think about when you're putting them in your house and how much longer they last than the old incandescents, and it saves you money over a long period of time because there's not going to be the need to get up there and replace those other bulbs. Things have become outdated, so then you have to try to retrofit and do all the things that you can do, and you're not going to have to do that as much. There's going to be less maintenance, less cost in the long run. But they are going to be able to change color and work with the soundboard and work with the other thing. And can you imagine, Steve, Thunderstruck blaring and going right along with the sounds and the music and the changing of those lights with Kelly Green and all that? I am getting goosebumps right now. September the 12th. If anybody's watching and listening to this right now and they are not ready to go to that game, I don't know what's wrong with you, you know?
Absolutely. Do they have purple, Russ? Is what I want to know.
I think that they specifically put in purple and gold, and it will flash out to the Gilbert Lions. And Jamie Cook will be there screaming "State Champs '95," and it'll just be a wonderful time. But I do believe
that's an
they put those
inside
in.
joke for all Thundercast viewers because Russ and I are both from Gilbert. So yes.
Jed, you got anything?
I got to get in on that like just 5 minutes ago, right before we started. So I got to be on the inside of that joke real quick before everybody else. So I appreciate you all letting me in on that. But oh no, man, you alluded to you said it outright, Steve. I thought this was great, man. Just the game day experience and with the lights and everything that they're doing. We talked about last week or 2 weeks ago about the porch, the additions of those outdoor suites and the athletic director talking about the game day experience and drawing people in and you made the point that every little bit counts. So if we can draw 500 more people, 1,000 more people, 1,500 more people into the stands and they purchase tickets and that goes to the revenue. And then, we can participate in that revenue share and bring in those athletes and elevate our programs. It's, for those that, we talk about this all the time here at the Thundercast, just $100 a year for being a Big Green member. And just that every little bit does help and does count. And I love the way that you put that, not all of us can give a big thing of money, but we all can give at least a little bit, and a little bit counts. And in our region and area, I think that's important. I really appreciate you saying that. But with the lights, what kind of drew you to that particular project, if I could ask that?
Seeing it from the inside, so to speak, on the Champions Advisory Board and knowing what Gerald and others call the acute needs, like, oh crap, we need to do this like right now. That's really what drew me to that project, and had been having discussions over a long period of time about some cases that my office has been working on for a very long period of time, like the opioid litigation representing children who were born addicted, and some other cases that my office is involved in. And it just gave me the opportunity to then sit down with Gerald, sit down with Teddy, sit down with the staff and discuss, hey, what is one of those acute, like right now, gotta have it type needs? And that was the one that really spoke to me, especially when you factor in guys, we're leaving money on the table here, by the inability to have nighttime games, or the threat of ESPN won't put you on television because you can't broadcast games with sufficient lighting that TV's able to pick up. I mean, how pitiful is that? That ESPN won't broadcast your games because of what they look like, because of the 35-year-old lights in the stadium. And that sort of struck me, that's like a matter of pride with me. I mean, we absolutely, just as much as JMU or Coastal or Appy State or anybody else, deserve to have our games broadcast at nighttime on an ESPN or on a Fox Sports or whatever, just as much as anybody else. So that becomes a matter of pride with me.
Yeah. We ran into that a little bit with postseason men's soccer, the hosting of the tournament and everything. They have to have so much, I can't remember. Maybe it's not candlestick, it's candle something that you have to have, and so much coverage and all that for your lighting and all that. And that's to be able to host an event. So to be able to host one of those postseason events, that's a lot of revenue and everything. So that's going to help with revenue. It's going to help with how everything looks. And the major thing is athletes today And this is above and beyond fans that are coming, fans and the game day experience. But athletes today, presentation is going to matter so much. And when they come to a game for their official visit and they see those lights and they see the atmosphere that those lights create, it's a recruiting tool. When they come to visit and it's not a game and they have those turned on and they have an announcer announcing their name and they come out in the jersey and now we've got 3 different helmet colors and we've got the different uniforms that you can do, and all those little things happen to add up for these student athletes. So it's a major recruiting tool.
It is. And along those same lines, I have been involved for a long time, primarily because of my daughter, Rebecca, with the art scene here in Southern West Theater, West Virginia, the outdoor amphitheater out here at Grant. And I can tell you that at no time in history has there ever been more competition for the entertainment dollar, right?
Right.
And it's never been easier to be able to enjoy a game from the comfort of your own home. So if someone's going to leave their home in Williamson, West Virginia, or Moorfield, West Virginia, and come to Hunt and enjoy a game that day, it had best be worth it, because gas is expensive. The tickets, I think, are fairly priced. Concessions are what concessions are, but the competition for an entertainment dollar has never been more intense. So from a consumer standpoint, you'd better give the consumer what they want and make that spend worth it. From a presentation standpoint, for the student athletes or the potential student athletes, make that as much as you can make it. Give those young men on the field, the dancers, the cheerleaders, the band, the everybody involved, make it as good as you possibly can make it for the student athletes that we want competing, playing, performing there as well, because it does make a difference. On the one side, it's the stage of those kids. And then on the other side of it, the consumers, you want them to feel like, boy, I just left a Marshall game and I feel like I've left an AC/DC concert.
Yeah.
I feel like this was far better than going to the movie theater and watching a movie. I really feel like me and my family got our dollars worth in the time that we spent at the Joan that day.
So, Steve, now is the next step getting AC/DC there on top of the Shuey playing us in?
Buddy, I will see them this weekend in Charlotte with some buddies of mine from back home. And for a few minutes, I'll feel 17 again.
Yeah.
For a couple of hours, I'll feel 17 again when Thunderstruck plays live at the Charlotte Stadium. That's way out of my price range. There might be one of our donors. There might be one, somebody that loves Marshall University. Now, Alabama might be a get. Might be able to get Alabama back for the second time in West Virginia in just a handful of months. But AC/DC may be a little out of our price range, Russ.
We can dream. We can dream.
I had always dreamed that if we ever got Marshall to play Virginia Tech, that you could open with AC/DC and Metallica in competing.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah. That would be great. Steve, on behalf of the Thundercast, and I'm going to speak for all of Marshall Athletics, Marshall University, thank you and Amy for your extremely generous gift. As we've recapped here, it is going to make dividends down the road for years and decades to come. So thank you. Let's move on to this other thing that you're involved in. Number 8, Marshall has 12 athletes, and that was 12 as of yesterday. I don't know if any have been added, but 12 athletes that have exhausted their eligibility according to the NCAA right now. And they're filing a lawsuit against the NCAA to try and obtain an additional year of eligibility after the recent announcement of the 5-in-5 rule in June. I'm going to read these off. The names: Meredith Mayer, Peyton Ilderton, and Blessing King of women's basketball, Bryce Blevins and Cam Hartham of baseball, Boogie Trotter for football, Bailey Fisher of women's soccer, Ryan Holmes and Momo Diop of men's soccer, Johanna Strom for tennis, Paige Simpson of softball, and Hannah Weiler of women's cross country. Steve, there are a lot of West Virginia born athletes in here. They all want to come back, and all they want, as I understand it, is to get what they feel is legally something that should be theirs. As you know, the way that they feel in this entire process, they're kind of getting cheated out, if I could use that word. Now, I'm not a lawyer, so I can say whatever in the hell I want about that. I feel that they've been cheated and they have been wronged by the NCAA. But now the Thundercast will turn it over to the lawyer and the legal expert on this, and he can say it in more measured tones.
Sure. Russ Livingood doing his best Jim Cornette impression this evening, ladies and gentlemen. So
well, I have to say, I was going to have you played on. I had it queued up, The Chase, the theme from Midnight Express, but you'll appreciate, as a lawyer, I did not want to get sued for copyright infringement or have to pay royalties.
I'd argue that it's fair use. You can always play that Stephen P. New World Class from Jim and Brian, their podcast. If I'm ever on again or I take Jed's place, then I've got a song that you can use, Russ. Okay.
Okay.
Listen, I'm already starting to get the comments in that they're wanting me out. So yeah.
Well, So let's talk about this. I'm excited about this litigation. I'm excited to see where it goes. There has been some other litigation about this. There's the Cincinnati litigation for the kids from Xavier, and there's some other suits. Dusty Gwynn, my co-counsel, Meadowbridge native, he and I are talking to a group of lawyers that want to share ideas, and we have that call at 4:30 tomorrow. And they're very intrigued about some of the allegations that we have made here on behalf of these. I call them kids. I have a 23-year-old, so I don't mean that in any disparaging way.
We say the same thing.
So these student athletes, I've got a couple quotes that I want to hit you with. All right. There was a general who was in the German army and who was asked after World War II why Americans were so good at war. Okay. And that German general's response was, war is chaos, and the American army practices chaos on a daily basis. That's why they're so good at war. Well, the NCAA is chaos. College athletics has been chaos since at least COVID, and the NCAA practices chaos on a daily basis. The chaos of the NCAA should not cost these kids playing time and NIL opportunity. Okay. Since COVID, at least, it's been chaotic with college athletics and the ever-changing rules. Who can keep up with all of this stuff?
Right.
It's next to impossible to keep up with all of this. It's next to impossible for the athletic departments. It's next to impossible to keep up for the student athletes and their parents, So these kids who graduated high school in 22, they don't get the benefit of the rules for the kids from 21 and earlier who got COVID era exceptions, as we explained in the lawsuit. They don't get the benefit of some of the other rules, like, hey, Go play a year of pro basketball, and that's not going to affect how much. Are you kidding me? I mean, you could get drafted to the LA Lakers. Go John Elmore. You get drafted to the LA Lakers at 18 and go play in Los Angeles beside LeBron James and earn $2 million for a season, and then decide that you want to come to Huntington and play for Marshall, and you still get all of your time, and you'll be 25 years old when you graduate or something. But, some kid who graduated in 22 who, walked on like Peyton Ilderton from Logan did, and earned her spot, had to play enough as a true freshman to earn her scholarship, right? But gets penalized somehow,
right?
And doesn't get a 5th year. To me, that's garbage. And that's the reason why Dusty and I are honored, privileged to represent these student athletes at Marshall. We have filed for a temporary restraining order and a preliminary injunction. The case is assigned to Judge Hammers in Cabell County, and it's being served on the NCAA in Indianapolis, perhaps as we speak. And then we'll see what happens with it. I don't like to predict what happens with litigation ever, because I've won cases I should have lost, and I've lost cases I should have won. But just as a matter of fundamental fairness to these student athletes, when somebody asks me, and the judge may ask me this question, what should happen, or what should have happened here? What should have happened is the NCAA, if it wanted to make this rule, 4 for 4, whatever, and from your 19th birthday, you got to play 4 years and 4 years and what have you, bylaw 12.6. The NCAA should have said, okay, for the high school students graduating in 2028, this is the rule that will apply to you. We're not going to do this retroactively. We're going to do proactively beginning in the year 2028. That's not what happened here. We've got this being enacted in July of 26, applicable to student athletes whose teams are starting. Football players report August 4 for 2-a-days. You've got a lot of these young people working out right now, doing the drills that don't involve their coaches and things like that. And so that's what should have happened here. If the NCAA wanted to adopt this rule, that's fine. But make that rule applicable for kids who are in high school, right, who are juniors right now, that will graduate high school, not seniors even, but juniors in high school. So they've got 1 year of high school, and then they go through the recruitment process and all of that. And they understand that when they graduate in 28, that this is the rule that's going to apply to you for the duration of your college athletics. Dusty is an NFL and WNBA professional sports agent, and I have invested in a sports agency. And the NFL, for instance, has a CBA. And if you got drafted in 2026, that's the CBA that's applicable to you in your draft year that year. And you don't get to argue if there's some change to the CBA or some amendment or an entirely new CBA adopted a year or two, 3 years from now when you're in the league. You don't get to say, oh, hey, all those people that got drafted in 29, they got, a higher base salary or better benefits or da-da-da-da-da. You don't get to do. You came in the draft class of 26, and that's the CBA that's applicable to you. The NCAA should have a similar system here so that athletes in all sports are not guessing about what eligibility rules are. I'll hush now because I've got a few things in my life that are passions. This is one of them. And so I'm just happy and honored that for these 12 student athletes, we've got a couple more that have inquired that I need to talk to tomorrow, and some strategic decisions to make about one sport versus the other sports, some things like that. But I'm really honored that student athletes at Marshall thought enough to say, hey, if we've got to go to court, take on the NCAA, that's the guy we'd like to be helping us.
Yeah. I have to say for our viewers and listeners, this is not a situation like the tight end from Miami that is seeking his 9th year in NCAA. This is not Diego Pavia, trying to get this stuff. But that when you look at those cases, it makes what they've done to these student athletes, in Russ Livingood's opinion, that's not a lawyer and can say whatever in the hell he wants without restriction. But those make this more egregious to the way they have been treated and taken away, when you can say, well, let's go ahead and give Diego Pavia another year. Let's give this tight end in Miami another year and everything. But these athletes over here, we're going to punish them because they played 4 in 4 years, and we decided to implement this new rule here. And you've got these JUCO things that didn't account for people, and you've got these 5-year things now that will do it. They fall in this one little category, and that's what this is about: doing what's right for these student athletes, not only for their education and what they want to do, but also for, as you directly mentioned, this is affecting their ability under name, image, and likeness to be able to do that. And that's what we're talking about here. And to me, it seems cut and dry. The NCAA says, you're right. We should allow these athletes. We're not talking about giving someone a 7th year. We're not talking about letting Todd Dillon go back to Fairmont State for one more year.
Oh, come on. He's in shape, Russ.
Oh, he's in better shape than most of the student athletes of today.
He could line up at defensive end today at Fairmont and play. Not a doubt in my mind.
He could, except for the knees are gone. I can verify the knees are gone.
Well, that's what he gets for joining the Army. Come on.
And Todd, I know you're watching and listening right now, so if you thought I wasn't going to throw something in about you for Steve, you don't know me, brother. But no, we're not talking about all this stuff. But in my opinion, what they have a history of already approving makes this look that much more damning against them, that they are basically saying, no, we implemented these new rules and it's going to wrongly affect these people, but they're not the media darling Diego Pavia or a tight end at Miami. So we have decided to do that for these people, but not for these. To me, it's discriminatory.
That is a part of what it is that we are suing about. Again, it's the chaos of all of this. It's absolutely chaotic. It's helter skelter. I'm starting to sound like Jackie Childs now. It's outrageous. It's stupendous. It's flabbergasting. But at the risk of sounding like Jackie Childs, it's all of those things, right? It really is. And so I hope that we're able to get justice for these kids. I really do.
Yeah, and I think they deserve it. We're talking about some West Virginia kids here. We're talking about kids that are not trying to go somewhere to make $1 million. They want to play and represent the alma mater that they are graduating from and have graduated from, and they want one more year that they feel is their right. And we've done it for others, so why not them?
Right. Absolutely.
Jed, do you have anything for Steve?
Yeah, I just got one thing here. Is you talked about justice and for these kids, and I think I know what the obvious answer is here, but what's kind of the ideal outcome here? What are we looking? What are you looking to achieve for them and for them with how this all plays out?
Ideally, we get a TRO or a preliminary injunction, which would allow the kids who start their sport soon to be able to do that. And then the judge takes evidence and hears evidence and would put a permanent injunction on the NCAA and enjoin the NCAA from enforcing this bylaw as applied to the student athletes, as applied to Marshall University, and NCAA at that point would be forced to attempt to try to appeal that ruling by the court. So that's what we're seeking here, is first a temporary or a preliminary injunction, which turns into a more permanent injunction saying, look, NCAA, you are not going to enforce this rule against these Marshall student athletes and against, with threats of penalties against the university indirectly, and then force the NCAA to attempt to try to appeal that to an appellate court in West Virginia.
With the injunction, though, you said, go ahead, Russ, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, because I was going to wrap us up. So you got something more to say. Let's do it.
Oh, no, I figure we'd be here for at least another 45 minutes, man. I don't know what
you know me, I got two more of these to do right after this.
That's true. Yeah, you do.
Boys, you all go on my retainer clock. No, I'm just that's
well, take us out, Russ. Take us out. Let's go.
No. Go ahead with your question. We've got time. We
can't afford his hourly rate, Russ. So Jed's like, get us out of here.
Well, I guess this would just be my last question. With the injunction, like you said, this is to get them the ability to go ahead and start with, as soon as these practices start and things like that, they could just jump right in and go ahead and start practicing. And this is more for my curiosity as this goes along. If you get this injunction, they'll be able to participate all the way up until a court ruling. Is that correct?
That's correct. Until a final, appellate court ruling, from the West Virginia Supreme Court of Appeals. But I'm confident that if we get an injunction from Judge Hammers, I feel pretty good about our appellate courts these days. And appellate courts are hesitant to overturn circuit judges who make well-reasoned and well thought out rulings. And guys, my competitive juices get flowing when I think about being in court, making these arguments. I'm looking forward to arguing this on behalf of these student athletes in our university.
Now, Steve, I was not pre-law like Otter and all them in Animal House, but
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life.
Well, that was me. But if you need someone to be impassioned there with you, I can certainly stand up and do that in court. But no, we're talking about how soon it is. This is kind of the final thing here. This is very timely because, soccer starts games. I'm not even talking about practice. They start games like August the 12th or something, August the 7th.
Right.
And, we've got football practice opening up either the last end of July or August 1st, somewhere right around there. And, this is something that these athletes need to be able to do right now.
Yes. And same with women's basketball. I think women's basketball reports July 27th. So, I mean, our coach needs to know, think about what a wonderful season those ladies had.
Absolutely.
And the coach needs to know, the ticket office needs to know, the fans need to know, are Meredith and Peyton going to be on the court this year? And most importantly, Meredith and Peyton need to know.
Absolutely.
And so it is timely. And I think that the judge will sense the urgency, which is what things like temporary restraining orders and preliminary injunctions are for. It's for things where, look, Judge, we need to do this like right now. We don't need to wait for the wheels of justice to turn slowly here like they normally do. But yeah, we need a ruling like fast.
Yeah. Well, there you have it, fans. If you are listening, watching, we need to do what we can do on social media and rally behind these athletes to get them what they truly, truly deserve, where they've been kind of wronged by the NCAA. We see it for the bigger, like I said earlier, media darlings and things like that. They said, sure, let it go. Who cares? But now we're going to punish these athletes because they came here and got all their stuff done in 4 years. I just don't see it. But what a wonderful.
I don't either. And like, and because I've known her father and he's been a colleague of mine for so long, I think about Peyton Ilderton from
Absolutely.
Logan and how hard Peyton's worked.
Absolutely.
To achieve the success that she's achieved. Walked on, earned a spot, earned a scholarship, and that kind of thing. Because she's bright, because she's hardworking, because she's industrious, that should be to her favor, not work against a student athlete of that caliber and of that type.
Truly, truly agree. It should not be a detriment. It should be a bonus.
Yes.
Well, Steve, what a wonderful son of Marshall you are and that we've had on here, and all that you've done and will continue to do for Marshall. We're forever grateful. Thank you for coming on the ThunderCast for the second time. It's been over 4 years since your first appearance on the show.
Let's not wait so long, and let's not make it that I have to threaten Jed with his job that I get on the show the next time. All right, I really hate having to do that. I hate, having to strong arm the co-host into coming back on. But
well, I had a TRO delivered to me and said that, but. No, thank you for your time. Very generous with your time, very generous for anything that involves Marshall and the state of West Virginia. It's always been that way with you, but it's always been very generous of your time to fight for those who do not have the voice that you can provide for them when they need it. Always thinking of the underdog and helping them. Steve, wonderful person, wonderful son of Marshall. Thank you so much for being on the show. I'm going to take us out of here right after, but if you have anything you'd like to say to close out, say anything to the fans, anyone watching, listening, Todd, Dylan, whomever you want to say, you go right ahead.
I only want to close with one thing. We are
Marshall. All right. So whether you see us at the Jack, whether you see us at the Joan, or whether you see us going around Steve New country, which I got to tell you, it's everywhere. No matter where you see us, we're going to be saying, go herd. It's the ThunderCast, and we'll see you very soon.